directors of Mansfield and Ashfield Broadcasting Limited would like to completely distance themselves from any of the tosh likely to be spouted by the three incumbents in Studio 1 from now until 2 o'clock. For the avoidance of any doubt, you listen entirely at your own risk. Long-distance lawyers and members of worldwide pressure groups can listen online at mansfield103.co.uk. All complaints should be addressed to Auntie Flo, 22 Fletcher Road, the Cayman Islands.
Stand by for left, right and centre. You have been warned.
Dear listener, in the last half hour in preparation for this programme, I have listened to the biggest load of that I've ever heard in my life.
You've heard your own voice.
That's right, you've said it yourself, you've been talking.
I have to say that I have listened to, on the left, Andre
Gone
Camilleri.
right over your head.
Andre Camilleri, with his views bordering on the criminally insane. I've listened to the younger version of our programme, Nick Bennett, whose views are quite frankly just... they're not understandable, and I've tried to get these people into such a form that they would be informative, useful and helpful to you. And I'm pleased to say I failed. So we've invited into the studio none other than Nigel Quinton, who's the Chief Executive of the Mansfield Building Society. We back that up with help from the city. Justin Urquhart, Mr. Urquhart, oh, yes. Stuart, yes, who...
with his red bracelet.
Yes.
An English gentleman.
For those of you like me who just might have... become part of the credit crunch, Lee Dunville from Assured Mortgage Solutions will be speaking to us, and most importantly of all, the lazy gardener Rob Foster will tell us how this year we need to cultivate our own. We also want to be able to hear from you, so the number to ring in is 01623 666 000. Later in the programme we'll talk to the editor Jeremy Plews of the Chad and be asking him what's in the local paper today, and undoubtedly my colleagues will have a question or three.
Be as controversial as you like.
That was the voice of Andrew Camilleri. My name's Tully Delahanty. He's Nick Bennett, but we don't really care about him, do we?
I'm stood behind you.
Very worrying.
Well, I think that the bankers have got into this situation, and I really am wound up with the banks and the people who run it. In America, banks are going to be able to task. In this country, they take the bonuses, the executive of these companies take the money, resign, go away. They should be being hauled up in front of committees, I don't know, but somebody should be taken to task. And I tell you, the pain that the banks have caused by letting themselves go for profit, go for greed, they should be being brought to task, and some of them somewhere should be being locked up. I'm not being funny. I think some of the things that they've done, some of the decisions they've made, and they've all skulked off somewhere to this thing and got other jobs in other companies. It's time that they were brought to task, and that's what needs to be done. But people are scared of banks because banks loan you money, they do everything, and people are scared of having to go at them. But I'm not. I think sometimes that these banks and now they're acting even harder with people. They're trying to make profits out, trying to get the money back, and it's the ordinary people that's going to have to pay for this. And that's what's really winding me up.
Well, I absolutely agree. I mean, the banks are just ridiculous, the way they keep borrowing people money, and they've got to pay it back eventually, and I agree, the bankers should be held more responsible, and somebody needs to be taken into account on this.
So we got somebody, well, we didn't get a banker in, we got a building society man in our own, and we got Nigel Quinton from the Mansfield Building Society, who's just taking off the handcuffs at the moment, and he's been escorted in here, put in the dock, arraigned by Andre Camilleri and Nick Bennett.
You hold him down, I'll put the handcuffs on. Do
you feel like a man who should be taken to the pokey and swinging?
Not at all, Tony, not at all.
Well, you would say that, wouldn't you, really?
We've at the Mansfield, we've always been very prudent in the way that we've loaned our money. Our loan to values are always very low, at 75% or less.
Let me just come in there before you go any further. I mean, very prudent. I have to declare an agenda. I'm a Mansfield Building Society mortgagee, so I better say that. But how can you be prudent and have lent me money? But I mean, that's
we all make
another
mistakes,
story.
Tony. And we've got LTVs of 75% and lower.
So what's an LTV?
LTV,
a loan to valuation.
Not a DVD.
No, not a DVD.
Right.
And our income multiples are very low. We only loan money to people who've got an income multiple of 3.5 times the mortgage, the loan or not.
Nigel, you can ask you, does that mean that you only loan to people that can afford to pay it, and people that you choose, and And I mean, we were talking earlier, and you said that you've had no repossessions, you had no nothing. Well, people in Mansfield expect Mansfield Building Society to help them, and that's what we're looking for from you today, actually, to help our first-time buyers in Mansfield. Those young kids who are struggling. Are you going to do that?
There are a number of issues you've mentioned there, Andre. The first one is it responsible for us to lend money to people who we know can't afford to pay the money back? Clearly it isn't, and we aren't in that market at all. But you're right, the first-time buyer market does need some help. It's a difficult market to get into at the moment because of the way that all the other variables work together, but we are looking at options at the moment to try and build a first-time buyer product for just for this area.
Well, that's good then. I'm pleased about it because, like they say, Mansfield, it's all right talking about the loans, but a lot of people in Mansfield put their money into your building society. I mean, I think you were telling me earlier the percentage, I think about 45-50% of your money in your savings accounts are from people in Mansfield. So the kids of those people want you to help them, and I think it's a good time for Mansfield Building Society to show where they are and help these young kids to get the houses.
That's right, Andrea, and we have got products which are dedicated just to the postcodes in this area. In fact, over the last few weeks, we've done a 1,000 leaflet drop in our area to make people aware of the offerings that we can make them for those people who need help with the mortgage and particularly for remortgage cases.
That's me. I need help. No,
Well, you need help in all ways.
No, we all need help in this studio. Now, let me come just a little bit off the Mansfield. It's unfair perhaps to put you in the position, but Cam there, Andre Camilleri, was having a go at the banks, the turmoil in the American stock market, etc. And there are many who say, what on earth has that got to do with us? But it has got something to do with us because the value of companies in this country means that people have to make economies of scale. Therefore, there are redundancies. Redundant people will find it difficult to pay your mortgages. I know some very good friends of mine who've been made redundant at the moment, and they may be wondering how a month, 2 months after they've had their redundancy, how they're going to be able to pay the mortgage. What would your message be to people like that? They're going to be in an equity trap. They're going to be having problems.
The message always has to be speak to your lender first. Let them know of your situation. I'm sure they'll be understanding.
Well, if it was the Northern Rock, speak to them now. Are they going to be understanding? Are they able to be understanding?
I can't comment on that one.
No, of course you can't.
I think that's a lot of problem. When you start getting into financial trouble, ordinary people, they are a bit wary of getting in contact with the lenders because I've always found that if you speak to the lenders, they are quite helpful with you. So I would, suggest to go and speak to the lenders.
What I want to know, though, Tony, the chap who ran Northern Rock, did he walk away with a big bonus when he left, which he did? And where is he now?
Yeah, if we had
hold on. And where is he now? And how much pain and how much anguish did he cause to those people at Northern Rock Investor? Why isn't he being hauled up? Because these bankers all stick together, and all these accountant bankers and all these stick together. And if you look at all the, I don't know if they're all part of the old situation, but they should be brought to task. That bloke who ran Northern Rock should be put in the dock and said, "What did you do? You've caused a lot of pain, all the Bradford and Bingley man,
right, well,
the Derbyshire man."
Is it to do that?
He's head of a building society, right? He's head of a building society. He has corporate responsibility. I mean, if you got it all wrong, would you expect to be hauled to task for it?
I thought there's a possibility there that you should be. In America, that does happen.
Yeah, well, why does it happen here? Because the country's run by bankers and financiers. That's why it doesn't happen here.
Yeah, but you're asking him and he don't know.
No, he doesn't know.
We need to be asking somebody who knows, like the government, for instance.
But let's go back to grassroots us. I mean, we could have problems. People out there could have problems. People are going to have to cut their budgets. I mean, you're saying you lend 3.5 times income. A lot of people have lent far more than that sort of money. And it isn't just about housing now, is it? It's about people keeping jobs, companies keeping going, businesses. You don't lend money to businesses, I don't think, do you?
A very small amount we do, yes, very small amount.
And are you very careful the way you lend it?
Absolutely.
Are you more careful now?
We've always been very careful. We haven't changed our lending criteria.
Can we have some people ring in?
Yes,
there must be some people out there who's having problems with banks, building. So let's hear from this. All right, us talking, but let's get really down to it. Let's get Nigel on the spot, because I think those people out there ought to have a go.
Well, he can give advice. Remember, it is a building society, a very successful building society. It's our building society. I have a gender there as well, because I'm a person who does business with the Mansfield Building Society. But you're listening to Mansfield 103.2, and we'll be back, perhaps with more of your calls. 01623 666 000 in just a moment.
Left, right and centre. Sponsored by the Junction Bar and Restaurant. The place everyone is talking about. First choice for drinks and great food. Newark Road, Sutton in Ashfield.
You leave your house and you drive to your mates. It's just you in the car. You watch what you're doing and you stick to the limit.
Ride a bike? You must have heard of MickByrne.com. Did you know he's opened a brand new store here in Mansfield? Try before you buy. With top brands of Shark, Technic, Suzuki Rizzler, Carberg, Roof, loads to fit both me and her. If you're into bikes, you've got to visit Mick Byrne at Direct Helmets, Old Mill Lane Industrial Estate, Mansfield Woodhouse, or click the link on mansfield103.co.uk. Either way, you'll get more time to do this!
You pick up your mate, you chat, turn the music up, you keep one eye on the road, and you edge over the limit.
Thinking about starting your own business but not sure where to start? Think Business Link. We're running free Is It For You workshops from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday the 14th of October at the Park in Nottingham and Wednesday the 15th of October at Mansfield Civic Centre. Come along and find out what it takes to run your own business. Call 0845 058 6644 or visit thinkbusiness.org.uk. Thinking of starting your own business? Think Business Link.
We make every day a lovely day at B&J.
Hiya, pop pickers. That's the number one from B&J Carpets, the longest running number one in history.
Oh, Mr. Riggins, B&J are still number one, and in tough times you can see why. With B&J you get the best prices and the best service on the biggest choice of carpets and vinyls in the Sutton area. Give them a call on 517667 or pop into the showroom on Kirkby Road, Sutton.
You can't beat B&J Carpets for quality, price and service. You know what I say. Why would you go anywhere else?
Make every day a lovely day at B&J.
You pick up another mate. You know, the banner's flying back and forth. You don't know how fast you're going. And you don't see the other car. You drive differently when your mates are with you. You pay less attention when you should be paying more. If the people in your car are important to you, ignore them and drive like you do when you're on your own. Let's have no more lives wasted.
Well, I have to tell you that although we all searched our mailboxes for fan mail last week, Andre Camilleri's still searching his to find the first. Nick did find one, but then again it was from his mum, and I never find any anyway. But one person did in fact get mail, and it was Justin Urquhart Stewart, who is our we've sort of taken him aboard Mansfield. He's sort of our financial mascot in the city. We often hear from him, those of us in Mansfield 2020, the movers and shakers, that's of the business world of Mansfield, that meet at the excellent breakfast club there, and we know what a fabulous speaker he is. He's on the line
Tony,
at the moment.
come on.
Is that a big enough build-up, Justin? Is that a big enough build-up? Yeah, you enjoyed that, did you?
That's fantastic. I'll bask in that for the afternoon. Thank you.
Fine. Well, would you bask us with something at the moment and tell us, we had a 770-point drop by the American Stock Exchange, the Dow Jones, the other day, and of course we'd got dropped as well. Surprisingly, many people thought yesterday, well, not surprisingly, they thought we would go down, but we didn't go down. We held on a bit yesterday, and we've held on again today, haven't we?
We have indeed. And none of this makes a great deal of logic at the moment, because you're not dealing with a logic about banks. At the moment, you're dealing with a level of fear and concern that has gone round the world with regard to the security and safety of banks. And it's a strange thing, because if you actually put any bank up against the wall right now and said, go on, give us your money now, actually you'd find they couldn't. So to that extent, you could actually say, well, surely all banks would go bust. But of course, banks don't work like that. So they work on trust, on the basis that money's been lent out, that they will borrow money from the markets, and they borrow money from each other, and the process carries on. They're all interlinked with one another.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, yeah, we've just been on about these banks and the fat cats that run these banks, and I think in the States it's different. But don't you think, Justin, that some of these bankers, and I say that with the word I think, who've caused this problem, because they have the greed, the fat salaries, the pensions, everything like that.
He doesn't mean you, Justin. Justin,
hold on.
He doesn't mean you.
Just hold on. Don't you think that some of these should be hauled up against some committee committees or taken to task. Let's see who these people are. We don't know who these bankers are. We keep talking about the banks. Who are these people? We know who you are, but we don't know who these bank people are. Let's have some faces to who's caused this problem. They've caused massive pain to everybody, and they're walking away with bonuses and getting jobs other way that we don't know who they are.
Now, don't get too excited, Andrew. Keep on taking the tablets. I take one of your tablets and allow Justin to answer.
But
Justin, can you answer?
Andy's absolutely right. I mean, there has been the most appalling run of misbehaviour by this. As you've seen complacency and laziness coming into banks and bankers. And companies that pay their people in too much in terms of short-term bonuses for short-term games, well, frankly, that's stupid behaviour in the first place, and not the way you're actually trying to run. You're seeing now a sea change in banking, and that's why people like the Mansfield Building Society will be benefiting from it, as will others. We're going to go back to a period of almost Quaker banking, going back to as it should be done. You're going to have to qualify for your debt. You're going to have to actually make sure you do put up deposits, and you're going to have to make sure that you are an account holder responsible and capable of actually paying back loans. All those old-fashioned things that one used to regard as being the standard way of going about it.
Nigel,
and the recent period we've had of investment banking, where don't worry, trust me, I will mercurially turn your money into something else with a CDO and an SIV. I'm afraid that's gone.
Nigel Quinton's in the studio with us, as you know. He was been saying that they've always been meticulously careful. In fact, perhaps the Quaker Building Society, from what you're saying there. But let's run this down to the ordinary person. And what are the effects? How should we continue? How should we run our lives from now on? Let me start with Nigel first of all, then we'll come back to you, Justin. I know you can hear online there. Nigel, how should people conduct their lives now?
I think I agree with Justin. It's go back to only taking on what you can afford, and if you can't afford it, then you shouldn't really be doing it. That doesn't help people who have currently got debt at the moment, and of course, if that is the situation, then as we spoke of earlier, go back to your lender as soon as possible and discuss it with them.
It doesn't help Nick Bennett either, because I've got a note from his mother and father saying, "Can you get him out of our house?"
Well, this is the problem. I mean, you've just said it there about it, but you've got banks being irresponsible. I mean, I'm lucky I don't owe anything on the credit cards, but yeah, I've become their best customer. They're doubling the amount of credit I can have. 16,000 on a credit card, 18,000 on another one. The banks have been too irresponsible too long, because people are living beyond their means. I mean, the ordinary grocer on the street who's trying to make a living and that, they're having to borrow on these credit cards and overdrafts and that. And ordinary people on the street, they are struggling.
Yeah, but I mean, what about you? You want the reason I referred to your mother and father is because they'd like to get you out of the house. They'd like you to have a property.
Yes, but there's no way in chance that I would be able to get a mortgage because I don't earn enough money. Because I'm afraid the people who earn £30,000-40,000, them sort of jobs are not in Mansfield.
Justin Urquhart, very, very briefly, the housing market situation. I mean, is that you're in London? I mean, that must be becoming a big danger in London. Is the equity trap starting to shut its teeth?
Well, what you're doing here is you're seeing property prices. Property prices have been falling. What you've seen is that the property market is in a state of atrophy. Nobody's moving because, A, they can't afford to move, but even if you can move, you can't get a mortgage. So the whole thing is actually just ground to a halt. So technically prices are falling because those people who are moving are being forced sellers, either because of family reasons, money reasons, or job reasons. And so there's a rather strange, sort of almost fake market going on. But the way in the future we're going to have to manage our money is going to be really going back, again, to some old principles again. One is you do family financial planning. Since over the past 30 years, banks are focused on selling you products. And so the bankers have sold you every single wretched product you can have, from an ISA to a loan to a credit card, most of which you don't need. You end up with a magpie collection of rubbish. What you need to have, just as if you were running a business, is a business plan. And so you have financial planners. I don't mean IFAs, financial planners who will actually work out what not your just need, but the family's need is. To answer your question, how do you buy a house? The answer is you don't. Actually, the family does. And it does it by managing the assets across the various generations. Now, I know it's not easy in many families, but you coordinate the assets and liabilities, and you can cut a lot of cost out, and you can provide better facilities for people. And you're going to see more of that.
I'm sorry to come in again, but what we're doing, I agree with that, but I think in the future, because banks will do this again, they do it every time, they get confident, start lending money out again, start doing things again. We should have these banks brought to task. We want to see the people who've caused the problem. I want to see the man who's caused the pain to the little shop who's closed down.
Finally, Justin Urquhart, before you go, I want to call you right on the spot. How long before we get back to what we consider norm? How months, years, what?
We're going to head for, we're probably, across the retail market, we're already in recession. The recession will probably, and slowdown will last until probably midway through next year. You may start to see the first bits of recovery towards the end of 2009 at the earliest, I suspect. There'll be all sorts of rallies, there'll be lots of bits of green shoots coming through, which will turn out to be advanced mould. But I suspect it's going to be that period of time. We've had 16 years' worth of boom, courtesy of the politicians encouraging us to spend and borrow, banks selling us everything, and I have to say a certain amount of consumers also being irresponsible as well. I'm afraid we're all to blame with any who've come to this. No one is free of it, but certainly the politicians haven't helped here. So it's going to take more than just a few months to get over this bust, I'm afraid.
Justin Urquhart, Stuart, our man in the city of London, and it's good to hear from him again, even if some of what he's saying isn't the best of news. You're listening to Mansfield 103.2.
Left, right and centre. Sponsored by the Junction Bar and Restaurant. The place everyone is talking about. First choice for drinks and great food. Newark Road, Sutton in Ashfield. The Everseal Conservatory sale is now on, so visit our showroom at Old Mill Lane, Mansfield Woodhouse. We're open till 8 o'clock weekdays and 4 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday. Call Everseal now on Mansfield 782208.
As you know, one local company ticks all of the boxes when it comes to fitted bedrooms. Henshaw's tick the quality box, the reliability box and the value for money box. Well, Henshaw's have introduced another tick in another box, because right now there's free fitting on all orders completed before Christmas. Plus you'll get a detailed design of your new bedroom absolutely free, and you'll be dealt with by Mr. Henshaw himself. Call into our showroom next to Sainsbury's on Nottingham Road, Mansfield. Bedrooms and kitchens by Henshaw's. Quality at the right price.
Free fitting on your new bathroom suite is still on at Mansfield Bathrooms. Call 424400.
Blimey, did you hear that? Mansfield Bathrooms free fitting is still on. When you buy a new bathroom suite in October, they'll fit it absolutely free. You still won't pay a penny. What have we got to lose?
For free fitting on your new bathroom, get down to Chesterfield Road North or call Mansfield Bathrooms on 424400.
Great! That's Mansfield 424400.
Drive home with me, Coxie, between 2 and 6 every Monday to Friday with Mansfield 103.2 Drive. We'll still be doing the mystery airs from 2 and a whole lot more.
Mansfield 103.2 Drive with Astra Flooring, Beds and Furniture. Drive home to style and comfort.
Astra, at a price you want to pay.
Did you know a tiny little ant can lift 50 times its own weight? It's like my dad lifting 4 tons with his teeth. And if a little flea was as big as me, it could jump 12 double-decker buses. That's nothing compared to Pearl so small and mighty. Because it's concentrated, one tiny bottle can wash 20 baskets of mucky washing, which is as much as a bottle twice its size.
Parasol's small and mighty. A mighty lot of washing from a small bottle.
You're listening to Mansfield 103.2. We're talking about the problems being caused by what's not only just been happening in America, but what's been happening over, well, really, the last 18 months or maybe even longer. The credit crunch is being called now, but the fact of the matter is that there are companies out there that are doing, I'm sure, very well, and there are many companies that aren't doing quite as well, making redundancies and that sort of thing. Well, if somebody goes out of work, obviously it's harder to pay the mortgage. That's one of the subjects we've been talking to at the moment. Well, a very excellent part of our programming, I think, on Mansfield 103.2 has been the contribution of the debt doctor, Lee Dunville, who's a man who looks after the sort of mortgage solutions, that sort of thing. We've got an expert in the studio as well, in Nigel Quinton, the Chief Executive of Mansfield Building Society. But Lee Dunville, as a debt doctor at the moment, is your surgery getting fuller?
My own surgery. Ironically enough, as I was listening to you guys talking away, I'd got a value around my own remortgage. So there you go.
So you're needing to seek refinance?
Yeah, I'm at the cutting edge of it.
Why is that?
I'm skinned.
Well,
it's the fuel prices.
No, that's not good.
It's got nothing to do with the credit crunch. It's the fuel. What we're doing about these?
Just hold on, Lee. That's not very good coming from a debt counsellor to say that you're skinned. I would have thought you'd have been looking after your money. I'd be a bit worried about coming to you, Lee.
Andre, if I was a quid behind you, I'd be a happy man.
Well, perhaps, yeah. Well, there you go then.
That was before the credit crunch.
Before the credit crunch, yeah.
He's so far ahead now, mate, you'd never catch him.
I know.
But I'm sure you're right. But you're saying it's you get lots of people in for debt. I mean, you're obviously a mortgage advisor yourself. Did you give any mortgages out? Did you do any self-certs and things like that?
Very, very rarely. And the thing with that is that's not a conscious thing on my part. It's more to do with there'd have to be a reason. It's something that's been in the main beam of the FSA and my sort.
Sorry, translate, please.
Sorry, the Financial Services Authority.
Right.
For a long time now, because of the fact that there's certain aspects and there's certain very, very valid reasons as to why somebody would self-certify their income, and that's effectively what we're aiming at there. It's where they don't have to have proof of income.
Sounds all very complicated, doesn't it?
What should somebody do at the moment, Lee, if they're a young family, they want to buy a house or something like that? I mean, we know that I've just heard of a thing called a parental guarantee mortgage. I didn't know exactly what that was, and Nigel will probably tell us that at the moment. But if you can come up to the conditions of something like the Mansfield Building Society, who say they have very clear conditions, that's okay. But I mean, are there people who are still being able to gain money that they shouldn't really commit themselves to?
It depends which way you look at it, Tony. I think the main thing that I look at is there are two sort of rates out there. One is the standard rate that you'll pay, which is the lenders, the building society's standard rate of interest, and the other is the benefit rate. So if they're getting a fixed rate or a discount rate or whatever that may be, that's just an introductory, that's a hook. You know, Mark Benton does the program on the advert on TV about it. It's a bit of a joke, but it's about hooking them in and getting them in as customers. Now, what I'll tend to do is look at the standard variable with them and go through the affordability based on that. And if they can't afford it at the standard rate, which they could end up paying and more, then they can't afford it.
Now, what about it where the credit crunch now starts to ripple down the line? Companies get in more difficulty. They have to make redundancies. Our listeners are out there thinking, oh my gosh, I've just been made redundant, or I might be made redundant, or I'm part of a redundancy scheme. And they're looking at the mortgage and they say, I won't be able to pay that. Now, what should they do?
Well, again, that comes down to the advice in the initial stage, and I'm sure Andre will agree with this because he's a lot more experience in finance going back years than I have. There's lots of protection products out there.
I'm not that old.
Well, yeah, maybe a few years on me, but there are protection products in place, but it all comes down to one thing, which is the problem that we've been hit with at the moment is we've got this big bubble called the credit crunch, and at the same time we've got rising fuel and rising food costs. And although the two aren't intrinsically linked, they are in the respect that people only have so much income at the end of the month, so much disposable income. And I think my personal problem, my personal issue with the whole lot is, number one, the press have blown everything way, way, way out of proportion, and I think personally they've talked us into a recession.
Was a 7,700 drop on the American market anything to do with the American media?
Well, I'm not an economist, Tony.
70 points.
I've said that all along. I'm not an economist, but my viewpoint is, as a broker, being in the epicenter of this credit crunch, every day I woke up, it's either on the news or in the paper. You know, you pick up one particular paper, one page you're happy, the following you want to jump off a bridge.
What exactly does a debt doctor do? How would you help me then if I went to you with a load of debt?
Well, essentially I'm a mortgage broker. My take was that I would give free and impartial advice to people because I understand the systems.
You mean
and
you work for nothing?
No, I don't work for nothing. Nobody works for nothing, do they?
No, of course they don't.
It was my unique selling point that said I'm a Mansfield lad born and bred, and I'm there to make a living and I'm there to make a good business. But at the same time, I work on referral basis.
Well, what would you do for him, though? What would you do for him? The question was, what would you do for him?
Well, quite simply, I'd go through what debts. I'd have a look at the debts for them. If there was a logical and simple way of getting around it without using debt management, without having an IVA, I would explain that to them. If there was a need for them and a position where they could remortgage and it was right and proper to do, I would advise them.
Lee, I'm going to have to leave you there. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
An IVA, very, very briefly. We'll have a
It sounds like some medical problem.
No, it's not an IVA.
An IVA? That's when you have a baby.
You go into a sort of voluntary situation to try and sort your finances out.
That,
Maybe that's for another day. But let's get a caller on the line at the moment. Got a few callers queuing up on the line. Paul Bell. Paul, what's your point on the sort of credit crunch situation and whether it's going to roll into Mansfield?
Well, Tony, I've been listening to you right from the start of this debate, and I thought it was very interesting that all the people in finance seems to want to move the blame to the person on the shop. I mean, at the end of the day, let's not run away from the fact that there's been some weird and wonderful dealings by banks in the stock market. The perfect example is when they start saying they're trading off balance sheet. Now, if you're trading off a balance sheet, that means...
Let's keep it simple, because people...
Well, put it this way. If you've got X amount of pounds in bank and you're trading on stuff that you haven't got, surely that you're insolvent.
And you're trading while insolvent, which of course is an offence.
Which is an offence, and it's proven. It doesn't matter to me now, whatever political party, whichever way you swing. The fact of the matter is, the city can no longer self-regulate itself. We need to have a body with teeth that can take it all to task and shake it all down.
What you're saying is that the Financial Services Authority haven't got teeth.
No, they haven't.
So all that money we pay to the Financial Services is no good.
No,
what kind of thing do you think we should do?
Under the end of the day, we would have never been in this position where everybody could lose their jobs. And you've got to feel sorry for the people in the Halifax, for instance. You know, little girls behind the counter that serve you, and the little woman that comes in and cleans in the morning. They may well lose their jobs. But the big guys made the decisions, that curated the problem in the first place, that had the £1 million bonuses, right, will still have their jobs and will still have their money in the pockets. As it is, people are trying to move the responsibility to the people of us.
And where does the blame lie?
Class.
In a word, where does the blame lie?
The blame lies with the city being greedy and basically trying to curate growth out of nothing and con everybody. And let's face it, you all sit back there about house prices. The amount of prices that the houses have been going up every year has been horrendous. It's been outrageous.
Paul, I said the answer. Paul, I said the answer was a word, and you've given us quite a few useful words there as well. Unfortunately, I've got to let you go at the moment. We're going to try and take some more of the calls. The only number to ring on, please don't ring our newsroom. I know we said ring before 1 o'clock to our newsroom, but the only number to ring in on is Mansfield 666 000. A lot more to come. We want to hear your views as well. We'll take the break.
Left, right and centre. Sponsored by the Junction Bar and Restaurant. The place everyone is talking about. First choice for drinks and great food. Newark Road, Sutton in Ashfield.
Did you know a tiny little ant can lift 50 times its own weight? It's like my dad lifting 4 tons with his teeth. And if a little flea was as big as me, it could jump 12 double-decker buses. That's nothing compared to beer so small and mighty. Because it's concentrated, one tiny bottle can wash 20 baskets of mucky washing, which is as much as a bottle twice its size.
Parasol's small and mighty. A mighty lot of washing from a small bottle.
Des works in a toy factory, where he'd like to be a supervisor. Thing is, he left school in 78, so he's not confident about learning new skills. But Learn Direct have supportive tutors online, on the phone and in our centres. So he'll soon be saying goodbye production line, hello supervisor's office. For courses from top-up skills to degrees, visit nothingcanstopyou.co.uk or call 0800 101 901. Nothing can stop you when you Learn Direct.
I really need a new bathroom suite.
Say yes to B&S.
What about choice?
Say yes to B&S.
Design and fitting?
Say yes to B&S.
B&S has a brand new showroom just opened in Mansfield with over 40 displays to inspire you. Traditional to unique. No gimmicks, just quality. B&S Bathrooms, Ratcliffe Gate, Mansfield. Call 427 754 7 days a week. Looking for a new bathroom? Say yes to B&S.
Do you fancy an evening of beauty, fashion and music? The tickets are now on sale for this year's Miss Mansfield Final on October the 14th at the John Fretwell Sports Complex. A full evening of entertainment is planned, including the Grand Miss Mansfield Final. Prices £6.50 and £4.50. Call Trish Broadhead on 633 331 or visit the Works Hair and Beauty, White Hart Street, Mansfield.
You've got a job to do. You need tools. And you want trade prices. Get it all, quick, from Screwfix. Whatever job you're doing, you'll make huge savings on thousands of quality tools and supplies at Screwfix. Like saving a massive £80 on a Makita 18-volt combi drill with 3 rechargeable batteries, now an incredible $99.99. Get your copy of the new catalogue for more big brands and more big deals on over 10,000 quality products from your local Screwfix. Abbey Trading Park, Hermitage Lane, Mansfield. You're never in a fix with Screwfix.
They've got sharks and...
They haven't, not quite. But Distinctive Waterlife do have a fantastic range of fish and all the supplies you could possibly need for your pond. Filters and foods, pumps and plants for indoors and out.
They also have crocodiles.
They don't, but they do have a new reptile section. You'll be spoilt for choice. Come and have a look around the Distinctive Waterlife showroom. Open 7 days a week at Old Mill Park, Mansfield Woodhouse. Just look for the shark or call Mansfield 647 317.
United Carpets and Beds are busting prices in their Price Buster sale. There's up to 75% off and free fitting. That's why it's called the Price Buster sale. There's thousands of carpets to choose from. Modern Berbers are just $4.99 a square metre. That's 75% off plus free fitting. Stain-resistant Berbers are just $3.99 a square metre. That's 75% off plus free fitting. And there's up to 50% off pine, metal and divan beds too. The Price Buster sale at United Carpets and Beds at Kirkby in Ashfield and Mansfield Woodhouse. Terms and conditions apply.
On 103.2, it's 19 minutes to the hour of 2 o'clock. Stormin Norman following the news. And what a good programme he's got in line as well. But talking of good programmes, ours reaches the places that other programmes don't reach. I had a call in last week from Thailand, where they've been following the web. We've got one not quite as far as that from Ireland. And on the line, who's listening to www.mansfield103.co.uk, we welcome, I think the name is Sizemog. Is that your name, Sizemog?
It is. It's my online name.
Is Sizemog or...
Sizemog.
Is that a first name?
It's a derivation of seismograph.
Oh, I see.
It's a web... What's your real name then?
I would prefer not to give that out at the moment.
Oh, why do we want to... If you don't want to give your name out and make yourself...
OK, my name is Roger Stewart.
OK, Roger Stewart, Sizemog, whoever you are, whatever. Let's get on to the main point. You're listening to us, and welcome to you for listening to us. Ireland you're from, Ireland you're in, and aren't you already in some sort of recession there?
That's the south of Ireland. I live in the north.
All right. But what's your point then?
My point is this recession it didn't come about by chance. It's managed, and it's been planned for a long, long time. And it's to get, they're looking for a global currency. America is looking to get out of the dollar and get into the Amero.
Ah, so you've got a conspiracy theory, have you, Sizemog?
Well, a conspiracy only means it's two or more people conspiring to do something.
How many are conspiring here?
Oh, thousands.
Ah.
But it comes from the top.
Ah, so this is an exclusive from you to Mansfield 103.2, is it?
Well, yes. I mean, it's nothing that... It's not fanciful. It's backed by fact.
Back me with a fact or two.
Well, for instance, if I go to get a mortgage...
Go on.
And it's agreed that I am worthy to get a mortgage, they don't actually give me any money. They give me a line of credit.
Right.
And for every pound of credit that I get, they leverage that up by 10 times between themselves.
Right.
Consequently, there is no money to back the banking system.
Hang on.
Calm asleep, Tony. What does he mean?
We've got a big Nigel Quinton in Mansfield Building. Do you agree with what's being said there?
I can explain the point that was being made. The point is that mortgages are originated by one lender, then parcelled together in other packages and sold on to other banks.
Right.
And those banks then sell on those parcels to other people. So it can change hands a number of times.
Andy Camilleri is getting a headache on the far side. Nick Bennett is completely lost. Let's go back to Sizemog at the moment. Size, at the end of it all, you're actually saying it's all designed that eventually there's one currency in the whole world. Is that right?
That is the ultimate plan, yes.
Well, how many years would that take?
Well, they've been at it for 200 years.
OK, well...
I hope it's not just the European Union.
We've got another 17 minutes left, Sizemog, so I think perhaps you'll give us a call after the programme and firm us up a little bit more than that. But thanks very much for listening to us with your theory from over there. Whereabouts in Northern Ireland are you?
I'm in County Down.
County Down.
Well, good luck.
Put the phone down in County Down. God bless you. Thank you very much. Sizemog there with one currency for all monopoly money, whatever it might be. But
European Union money.
Well, yeah, but that
Mickey Mouse money, as my dad calls it.
Go on, let's get some interest.
Let's get some proper intake. We have an independent counsellor on the line, a man who is also holding... Never mind grimacing, Camilleri. How did you know who it was?
I've just wild guess. I'm psychic.
He is also the man whose football team is taking the Northern. What are they called now? What are they called, Andy? This new league.
It's Blue Circle, isn't it?
Blue Square, you older. Just a quick one.
That's all you do now, Andy.
It's not Andy Perry Independent Council. It's just Andy Perry, local businessman.
No politics on this show.
Who employs over 80 local people, etc.
And intends to keep on doing so.
Yeah, we're trying our best, obviously, in the tough times. But also, I think it's all about diversifying as well. It's all right saying we've got no work, we're not very busy. You've got to look within the industry what is doing well as well, a little bit, and we've had to diversify in certain areas.
Like buying football clubs.
No, that's a silly thing, I suppose, in the long run. But hopefully it'll come to fruition in the end. But moving on from that, Mr. Bennett, quite a sweeping statement. There's no jobs in Mansfield at £30,000. Can you just actually clarify that a bit more for me?
I knew this would get onto politics, exactly.
No, it's not. It's not politics.
Okay, all right. The ordinary people on the street, take the bus driver, for instance, is not even on £25,000 a year. Big business people are on expensive amounts of money, but the ordinary little Joe cleaner who cleans, or the market trader older, he is not on £40,000 a year. And you proved differently, because it's not happening.
No, but you said there isn't any.
Big business people are on that sort of money, but not little people.
He's saying that you
ordinary
said,
little people.
Hang on, not all at the same time. He's saying that you said that no one's on it. Is that right, Andy?
No, I said not many people's on that sort of money.
Nick Bennett actually said, if you go back on it, he actually brought Mansfield down very well. Saying that Mansfield isn't a place where you could actually earn £30,000. So actually bringing down the people of Mansfield, we haven't got that in there. So he's actually quite incorrect. He doesn't obviously know exactly what is going on in Mansfield.
What?
Pardon?
Now, would you say, what percentage of Mansfield people would you say earn above £30,000?
Is that himself or Nick?
No. Sorry.
Nick.
Either of you. Go on, Andy. What percentage would you say earn over £30,000 a year?
25%.
A quarter of the people of Mansfield. Let's get a few of Nigel Quinton from that. They're independent of it. You obviously service a lot of mortgage applications, that sort of thing. Would you say that was about right? 25% of the people in Mansfield earn over £30,000 a year?
It's hard to say, obviously, Tony, but there are quite a good number of people who earn more than £30,000 a year in the area.
Quite a good number of people. And Nick, your view?
Well, I still say there's a lot of little people out there, cleaners, market trade holders, other people who's working in small business, and they're not on that sort of money a year.
Yeah, well, so let's suppose that you're right and that there are more people, as Nigel's backing you up somewhat and saying earning over £30,000 a year. Do you think that's going to be a continuance, Andy? Andy Perry, are you there? Oh, we've lost Andy Perry.
Hello, now back again.
Did you get that?
Yeah, now.
Do you think that's going to be a continuance, or do you think there's going to be less people earning that sort of money? Do you think it's going to get tighter? What?
I think things are tighter, but I think we've got to give credit to the people out there that have small businesses, and when we say small businesses, that's from a one-man band up to a few hundred people. That's still a small business, and I think there is plenty of people out there who are looking at get into self-employment within this area. As it's been pointed out in the past, where Mansfield lost the pits, lost the hosiery, but there's a big
Andy, I agree with you. Actually, I think there's lots of people. It really don't matter really what Nick.
Well, it doesn't know.
No, but what I'm saying is that it's tough out there. I know you're in a slightly different. It's tough out there.
It's tough.
And what Nick's saying is right. The market traders are struggling. Some of the people in Mansfield are struggling. Mansfield and District. All I'm saying is that whoever's to blame for this should be brought to task. I mean, what do you think? I mean, you've probably got a good relationship with your bank, but you know the people haven't. What would you do if you were having trouble with your bank now? Would you fall out with them, or would you keep stunk because they might call the overdrafting? What would you do?
Oh, and I suppose you've got to play everything cute in business at times. I think you have got to. You've got to keep the relationship going. You've got to keep the lines of communication going. So I think in the long run, the relationship with your banks is the best thing you can have in business. There's no doubt about it.
Let's hope everybody out there can keep that relationship. And I think Andy Perry is also saying, you know, we're a tough old community here. We stood what went wrong with the coal and everything else, and have fought back from there. And maybe Mansfield can do better than some other parts of the country. Thanks for joining us, Andy.
Up the Stags, Andy.
Yeah,
just make sure you keep your paperwork in
check. And 3 more points this weekend, we hope.
Lovely, yeah.
Mansfield, that was a snide remark made over there before, but never mind, we maybe talk about that some other time. Mansfield 103.2, the time coming up to just 10 minutes and a bit more before 2 o'clock. But on the line we got Rob Foster, the lazy gardener. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Jonah.
Now then, I was reading in the paper today, it was the Daily Mail I'll give credit to, that one of the areas that it thought that people would have to have better husbandry and sort of cut down was the area of perhaps eating out, which could of course affect restaurants and that sort of thing. And they were saying we've got so binged on eating out, the culture of the cafe and that sort of thing in the past, that we won't be able to come back to genuinely good eating in the home. Now you're going to argue that good eating in the home is probably exactly what we're supposed to do, aren't you?
It's what we should be doing, but unfortunately we've been on this binge eating out that people find it hard to turn around now. But I mean,
we're trying to say people are fat.
No, it's with the credit crunch, it is really biting. And vegetables, as reported last week in the Telegraph, are up by as much as 33%. That's a lot of money. Now we can get around that by going his own, but it's all right talking about Jamie Oliver and all the other healthy eating. But until a lot of the vegetables you buy in the shops now are gone past the best. Until you grow your own and get that taste back and get your taste buds back, because they've been assassinated by the supermarkets over the years. And I'm not decrying supermarkets; they do a good job. But we've got to get down to basics and eating properly, eating correctly, save a lot of money, get some exercise, and you're a lot better off in the long run.
Quite right, Rob Foster. Can you bring us some spuds in this afternoon, and we can just have a bit of a fry up later on? Thanks very much for that, Rob Foster. Good thinking there. One way of keeping the cost down is to maybe have some more of the meals at home and have some good food, like that old programme, The Good Life. We're going to be hearing from Jeremy Plews of the Chadberry shortly, but in the meantime, on 103.2, we take a break.
Left, right and centre. Sponsored by the Junction Bar and Restaurant. The place everyone is talking about. First choice for drinks and great food. Newark Road, Sutton in Ashfield. The Everseal Conservatory sale is now on, so visit our showroom at Old Mill Lane, Mansfield Woodhouse. You'll find the complete conservatory package from start to finish from under £5,000. Call Everseal on Mansfield 782208.
Looking for your perfect kitchen and bathroom? There's now a place in Nottinghamshire where you are guaranteed to find them. With kitchens for every style and budget, from the ultimate contemporary Pro Norm to the traditional bespoke Edwin Loxley, plus bathrooms from Villeroy & Boch, the world leader in innovative bathroom design. Simmons, where your interiors will be in the hands of award-winning designers. Find us on Woodhouse Road, Mansfield.
Get down to Simmons right away.
Or click simmonsonline.co.uk.
Free fitting on Star Rangers. Up to 50% off roll ends and free delivery, plus over 10,000 square foot of roll ends to clear this week at Mansfield Carpets. If it's wood or laminate flooring you're after, it now comes with free fitting and underlay. All our work is guaranteed. We specialise in full houses and offer a generous discount. We will beat any like-for-like quote. You can buy now and pay next year. Ask in store for details. Free estimates and measuring service for commercial or private. Phone 635 999 for our Mansfield store or 863 663 for our Superstore in Ollerton. Both open 7 days a week. Don't forget, it's free fitting week at Mansfield Carpets in Mansfield and Ollerton.
Wake up with John B. Tannen, the Mansfield 103.2 Breakfast Show.
Join John B. Tannen every weekday morning from 6 for the Mansfield 103.2 Breakfast Show. It's the best way to wake up across Mansfield, Ashfield and Bolsover.
The Breakfast Show on Mansfield 103.2 with Rainworth Skoda. Time to think Skoda. Time to think Rainworth Skoda. Call 623 400.
Here's some great news. The Swallows in Warsaw, famous for the Sunday Biggin, are now serving wholesome traditional pub grub at lunchtimes and evenings from Wednesday to Saturday every week. Lunchtime special, 2 meals for £7. Enjoy your food, then you'll love it at the Swallows in Warsaw. It's on Cottage Lane. Phone 842 028. That's 842 028. And now the Swallows is a 5-star pub.
The Browns had decided to take Paddington on a day trip to the countryside. Paddington was very excited and had made them all a packed lunch. Cheese and Marmite for Jonathan and Judy, cucumber and Marmite for Mrs. Brown, and something extra special for Mr. Brown, who was doing all the driving, egg and Marmite. Oh dear, thought Paddington. Squeezy Marmite. You either love it or hate it.
You're listening to Mansfield 103.2, closing minutes of left, right and centre. So we go over to the very excellent Chad and its very excellent editor, Jeremy Plews. Jeremy, a very good afternoon to you.
Hello, Tony.
Don't sound as if you're concerned about what I'm going to say next.
No, I've got to say, I'm sorry to butt in, Jeremy, but you did sound a bit like an undertaker then. You're going to measure us all up.
No.
Okay, I'll try again. Hello, Tony.
Or a banker being chased, possibly.
Hello,
Jen. Now, we've got 5 minutes left of the programme, but one thing we're going to do is going to go over to Nick straight away, because he's been looking at the Chad today, and he's been fingering through some of the stories in the later pages, and one he's found that this has either angered him or cheered him. What is it, Nick?
It's the story on page 14 about the moped rider hurt. And, I mean, I don't know what people's views are on these ruddy mopeds, but they're all over the place, and people are driving around with them, seems like for years, with just old plates on, and they're causing a menace. I've seen them up and down the streets all over the place, and the problem is every time one gets hurt, it's always the innocent motorist who gets blamed for it. Yeah. And yet I've seen how some of these moped people drive all over the place.
Jeremy, you no longer have the company moped, do you?
No, I've traded mine in for a tandem.
So what is the situation?
Have you got someone to sit on the bike with you?
Do you get a lot of mail on and things like that on number of mopeds? I remember once.
Yeah, we've had a bit. And not, I wouldn't say it's like a flood every week, but we occasionally get people get excited about that. Yeah, that and general issues around parking restrictions and where they feel unfairly treated about parking for disabled people, that sort of thing.
Now, Jeremy, while we're on, we've been talking about the credit crunch today and that sort of thing. I mean, as the editor of the Chad, what's your feeling on all the happenings in the States and the city, etc.? Do you feel it's rippling onto, or likely to ripple into Mansfield?
Well, I suppose that's something that everyone now is talking about, isn't it? And waiting and wondering what's going to happen. I don't really believe it's hit us yet. Maybe it won't. But I mean,
hold on, Jeremy.
Well, you know, I mean, anybody.
Where have you been? It's hit us now. You're advertising your papers down. You know that. Everything's there. The estate agents are selling houses. Hold on.
How do you?
Yes,
hold on. I know what's happening. He's got to be right. You know, let's tell it as it is. Of course, it's hitting everybody.
Yeah, I really meant in terms of people I speak to. I don't get the impression when you go around talking to people that's all they can talk about is gloom and doom. I think most people aren't talking like that yet. I mean, it may well be the case they will. And you go into the supermarkets, they're still busy, aren't they? Everyone's buying. And
you mean the big supermarkets?
Yeah, I mean, it's just as if there's nothing happening at all out there. But
I always seem to bump into you in the supermarket anyway. I mean, you seem to be giving an awful lot of trade to supermarkets, Jeremy.
You go into that German chain, don't you, Tony, for all your small goods?
No, thank you. Let me just go back to Jeremy for a moment. I mean, looking at the general situation that we've had in this programme, we've had one or two people saying it's all been blown out of all proportion by the media. You're the media, we're the media. Is the credit crunch blown out of all proportion by the media?
I don't think it is necessarily. It's a very worrying situation, clearly, and an awful lot of people feel they're directly affected by it. I don't know that if people who read our newspaper necessarily are reading stories about that. Certainly not in the Chad, they're not. We just tend to carry on as normal, reflecting, I think, the situation.
The doom and gloom in Mansfield.
No, it isn't all gloom and doom.
No, it's good. Well, that's good then, because
a lot of very positive things happening.
Yes, what are the positive things, Jeremy? Let's leave this on a positive note.
You know, even on the sort of issues you're talking about. I mean, you only got to drive around the Mar route and anywhere else round about. There are things springing up all over the place. New developments, new buildings. There's a hotel opening. I think there's every reason to feel that long term, maybe things aren't so good at the moment, it'll be rocky for a while, but long term, these people who make these decisions, about the infrastructure, looking ahead 5-10 years ahead, and the signs for Mansfield area surely are pretty good, aren't they?
And Jeremy, do you think that a lot of people are on high incomes in Mansfield? Do you think they are on 30,000 plus incomes in Mansfield, or do you think a lot of little people?
There was an argument saying before that 25% of the people in Mansfield are on over 30,000 a year. Would you agree with that?
No, I don't.
What would you say? Give us a percentage.
I haven't got a clue what it is, but I mean, I know in the days, I'm old enough to remember when the pits were at their full strength. Then we were very affluent and people were earning comparatively large amounts of money, but I don't think that's the case now.
The ordinary people on the street, the little people, taxi drivers, bus drivers...
You mean like Tony?
And cleaners, they are not on that sort of money, are they, Jeremy?
No, they're not.
All right. Thank you very much, Jeremy. You've been...
Can I just ask Jeremy a thing? How long have you got to go, Jeremy?
For what?
For retirement.
In hours, please. In hours.
I'm not going to... No comment about that.
Yeah, but it's not that long, is it?
Well, it's a way off, yeah.
Yeah, good luck.
I'll keep you posted on it.
Jeremy Plews, and you'll all be invited to the party, I'm sure, when Jeremy Plews... how long has he been with the Chad now? 88 years?
About 88 years, I think.
No, nothing like that at
when
all.
you came to here, I think.
No, one of the nicest men that I've ever had the opportunity of breaking a sausage butty with. Jeremy Plews, editor of the Chad. Time to go. Look at the clock, old boy. The clock tells it's nearly over. Nigel Quinton, thank you very much for joining us. Mansfield Building Society, going from strength to strength.
Absolutely.
If you've got a problem, contact them, yeah?
Absolutely. That's the message to start.
Yeah, and Nick, if you want a mortgage, if outside,
I shall do. He's already been chatting me up.
Yeah, and I can see that you haven't got a prayer unless your mum and dad sign that guarantee form.
Please help me, mummy and daddy.
Angie Camilleri, you've got about 3 seconds.
Yeah, if you've got a comment, BritainUnderPressure.co.uk, and make your comments on that, because that's where everybody's moaning. And get down at BritainUnderPressure.co.uk and sign up. And if you've got a rant on there.
For me, Tony Delahunty, I've got to say, well, thanks for listening to us. It had to be a little bit more serious this week. Hope that you haven't got a problem. If you have, hope you can deal with it. God bless. Bye-bye.